Welcome to episode 21 of the Library Tech Cast. Today we're just going to be talking about a few items that came up on the listserv this week, as well as a couple current events. I'll want to introduce myself. My name is Jeffrey Sable. I am the Instruction and Reference Librarian at Concordia University, Irvine. I do most of the maybe I should say consulting for technology within the library. We do outsource quite a bit, um, and I'm the liaison to the IT department. Open source projects I have. I'm trying to finish setting up DSpace, just configuring it with our logo and whatnot, and give authenticated access off campus, as well as we are digitizing all of the videotapes VHS tapes from before they're completely, I guess, before they turn to dust. We're digitizing those in MP4 format and looking to put those online. They're mostly graduations or invited guest speakers, stuff like that. I just digitized one the other day back from 1993, so a while ago, a while ago, and really to preserve them for yeah, future generations and as well as alumni might like to view those online. Anyways, that's what I do, and let me throw it over to my co-host Riley.
Hello, my name is Riley Childs. I am the Charlotte United Christian Academy IT Administrator and Library Manager guy. I do all their awesome library technologies, and I do a lot of their educational technology stuff and deal with all that. And some of my pet projects that I have is I'm digitizing the Charlotte United Christian Academy library and putting their relatively small 8,000 book holdings into a computer, which is just me, just me.
I wonder how many libraries actually, I mean, like school libraries, like K through 12 have an online catalog. Because we actually had an inquiry from a Lutheran school, maybe they were down the street from us, but they were looking to get some sort of online catalog.
Well, I would assume that a lot have. I would assume a lot of them have ILSs, but I don't think a lot of them actually have online catalogs unless they're really big, because those are expensive. Unless you go open source. Um, but
Well, I
yeah.
mean, if the LA school district had like some sort of
Well, don't they?
license, I mean, I don't think you can't go to go to some website and pull up like this your school library and then search for books. Not that I'm aware of. I could, if I'm wrong, correct me. Go ahead and send in your comment. But I would guess that very few, um, high school or small middle school libraries have some sort of maybe I mean I could be wrong, but and I guess they get that exposure from public libraries of using an online catalog and whatnot. But
You're
I
right.
would,
They do not have an online catalog.
which is odd, right? I mean, just for keeping track of books,
Yeah.
you know. I mean, if you just wanted a quick inventory, how many books do we own in our school district?
Well, of course they would have an ILS. I mean, I'm sure.
I know, but once you have an ILS, the skip to having the online catalog is minuscule. I mean, at best, you
Yeah.
know.
Well, I don't know. I would assume that they have. I know that the school district down here has Horizons, which they just added the ability to log in. Um, but they have Horizons and they have an online catalog.
Right. Yeah. So I
I
mean, you
think
figure.
that the LA, I take that back. I think that they do. I don't want to be quoted on that though.
But I'm just
Yeah.
wondering, how many libraries? I mean, even LA, you would figure they would have one, but if you get a small little school district
Yeah,
that's not going to have some big contract
like
or the
mine.
ability, yeah. I mean, where else are students learning the skills that they're going to have to use in college to search on the online catalog? Anyways, that just a random thought out
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. But And just another one of my projects, and it's something that we're going to get to a little bit later, moving my school to Windows 7. A little late. But we're going to get to that a little bit later and talk about what exactly that means for you. But we're going to kick it off with some North Carolina State University library lending stuff, and this kind of segues into other stuff. And what I'm sure your library might do this too. I just haven't heard of it very often. Is they will give you like a MacBook that you can use for a couple days.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we don't do that, but I've heard quite a few libraries have done that, or IT departments. But I haven't heard that they were using Macs. But I mean, usually they'll give you, like a low-end laptop if you forgot yours. But I think most of them are private schools that are doing it. I'm not sure. That's a public school, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
So I
actually
mean,
where Code for Libhost this year.
yeah. So I mean, they may be somewhat more on the cutting edge than
Will you hang on
most
just for
ones.
1 second?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Go ahead.
Sorry. Sorry about that. I'm back. Had to shut the
Oh,
door
no
again.
worries. Oh, right on, right on. Yeah, so I mean, I was saying like they might be more on the cutting edge than most universities, but I think there's going to become a point where, I mean, at our school, instead of loaning them, we do have a computer lab that's open now 24
Yeah.
hours a day. Because I mean, I think at some point schools need to realize that you can't be a college student today without having some sort of access to a computer to pretty much conduct research, write a paper, you know uh, write a presentation, create a PowerPoint. I mean, all that stuff is mediated through a computer, whereas before you could sort of get away with not having one except to write out your paper and then, oh, I'm going to go just type it up on a computer. I think you're at a severe disadvantage, and I think that was the catalyst for all these school districts to say we need every student to have some sort of device.
Yeah. And actually, here is a smattering of the stuff that they lend. They lend Google Glass. I've never heard of Leap. They lend Raspberry Pis. This thing, I've heard these are cool Lytro cameras, and they lend Arduino kits. And then you can also borrow DSLRs and all that stuff. And I have heard of stuff like this as well, but I've never heard of anything with. This seems like it has a pretty wide selection of stuff. This is more of technology lending rather than computer lending. So you can borrow DSLRs,
Well, right, like
and they train you. They train you to use the DSLR, which is pretty
yeah,
neat.
that's awesome. Yeah, and I mean, like you have if you're a student who's giving a presentation, you don't have a laptop, you don't have a projector. I mean, you can go there and check it out,
Yeah.
and then use it that way. And I mean, I don't know. It seems like if they have Google Glass, they're probably more on the cutting edge than than
Yeah.
most. I mean, not even people. Most libraries, I'd say, even cutting edge of most people, don't have access to Google Glass.
Yeah. And I mean, it's not like you can borrow it for a week. It's like you can borrow it for a day. And actually, no, wait. No, you can borrow it for a week. I take that back.
Right. I mean, even at the very least, it's you can say, hey, I know how to use this type of software, hardware, or and those are skills that are translatable into a actual job.
And it looks like they're more of it's aimed towards developers and researchers. It's not really aimed towards me to go in and try it out. Which, yeah. Um,
But I
but
mean,
yeah, I mean that.
still
Yeah,
exciting nonetheless.
yeah, yeah. But I mean, it's going to be interesting to see that and see where that goes. And I would like to be able to one day walk into my public library and borrow an iPad or something like
Yeah.
that. That's the dream. But moving along, was there? I'm trying to remember what we had. We had. I've shown it on my notes today. Um, we had the. Was there something else besides just the XP end of life, or was that it?
Yeah, I think that was it. Just the
Oh
XP. You
well,
wanted to talk about the
yeah.
major
Well, actually,
catastrophe.
I'm gonna go ahead and just throw in there. Remind everybody, if you're not going to the Code for Lib conference, you should get on the wait list first of all, and second of all, you should watch the stream live at youtube.com/code for lib. That's March 25th through the 27th, and you can enjoy that. And if you're not currently attending it, you should get on the wait list to see if they have any open slots. But it's going to be a good time. We're going to be there. We're going to be doing a Wednesday night show. So if you want to come and check us out and join us doing that show, I think we agreed to that,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, right.
Yeah, we're going to try and do a show live Wednesday night from Code for Lib. So the deets will be released at a later date, but that's just kind of our little in-between advertisement. But it's going to be neato, so I'm excited for that, and we'll be there for every minute of it. But moving right along, we have some pressing news. We actually... Hang on.
So are we talking about the end of life? So this was originally a thread on Code for Lib.
Yes, it was. It was
Yeah.
a thread for Code for Lib. And I'm not running Windows XP in case you were not aware, although it looks like. But guess what, guys? We have 31 days, 4 hours, and 17 minutes, so we are free. Not free of viruses, but free of Windows XP. So you should have a plan for moving away from it, you know? Just want to throw that out there.
So do you think this is going to be a big story when the support ends, or do you think it's
without
just
a doubt. Without
or
a
do you,
doubt.
so you don't think it's overblown in the least?
I think what's going on is it's not really a thing that the public needs to worry about. It's something that the people behind the scenes need to worry about, because except for, I think, 20% of the internet, of the people who are actively online, are running Windows XP. And
Well,
as you
right.
might imagine, that's a problem.
Right. So I mean, if there's actually like a barrage of viruses, you're going to hear about it. Like it'll be a big
Yeah.
story for sure. But
Oh
I
yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
it's like Y2K. Like how much hype is behind this? And
I
I mean,
don't think there's
you
a
know,
difference between Y2K. I think what's going on, I think this is being hyped up, but it's being hyped up to the point where it's not. You know what I mean? It's not really hype. It's more of, this is actually going to happen. We need to be worried about this, rather than Y2K, where it was really all hype. I mean, nothing was going to happen except non-critical systems. A few non-critical systems might have lifted 1900, but I mean, it really wasn't that as big as everyone made it out to be.
right. And I'm just wondering, so if 20% of the internet's still running an unsupported operating system, there's going to be problems for sure. I mean,
Yeah.
there's no way around it.
And I take back that 20% figure. I think it was less. It's still a lot, but I mean, what I've seen is people like, I'm just gonna keep chugging along. Nothing's gonna be too bad. We're not gonna get any viruses. We're gonna use anti-malware, and that's good, and that's great, and that's a short-term solution, but it's not a long-term. You have a little bit of time after the end of life, but is definitely not. It's definitely not advisable. It would not be like up until the beginning of this year. Yeah.
Well, what do you think the major obstacle is that are preventing people? From upgrading.
Hardware. That's what's preventing us from upgrading, and I'm still trying to figure that out. Oh, I take back that 20% figure. It's actually at 30%. We really need to be concerned about this. Everyone
What,
should be.
really?
Yeah,
It's
I'm
at
not. I'm not.
30%?
Oh, I'm seeing a couple of them. It says they're at 30%. Windows XP market share is said to be at 30%.
Wow.
Uh, that's scary. I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
that's scary. Um, um, yeah, and I mean, but here's what's going on in libraries: is I have computers that I bought years ago, probably 2003 era computers, and that's what we have at my school. We have 2003 era computers. Most schools have that sort of stuff. Um, they don't run anything besides XP. They won't run 7. They won't run 8. It is exceedingly rare to find a computer of that vintage that is in a school that will run 7 or 8 or even Vista. It just depends. But I mean, it's something that we need to be concerned about. And the fact is that a lot of IT departments are saying we're going to keep chugging along, which is a great short-term solution. I mean, I'm fine with that. Deep freeze, which is something that basically erases everything on the computer on reboot, sets it back to a clean state, is great. But it's a short-term solution. It's definitely not a long-term solution. But and then, as I was telling you before the show, what someone on the Code for Lib mailing list said this. I don't want to take credit for it. This is where I actually got, and I got all of my ideals from my thing. Is what if? And this has been theoretically happened before when Windows 2000 was released, but no one was really tracking it because no one was on Windows 2000 really, so it didn't make a difference. But Windows XP. What some people think is going to happen is, if I was a cyber criminal, I'm going to be sitting on vulnerabilities and then on April 8th, on the last patch Tuesday, I am going to release all those in the wild, and they're going to be unpatched forever and ever. And what's even scarier is the thought that someone could disassemble a Windows 7 update package, figure out how to exploit the vulnerabilities patched by that update package, and then use those against XP. So
Yeah, I didn't even think about that.
Long term, XP is not long term. You should not be running XP. I see that a lot of. I could understand it if you're going to make it to the end of the year and you want to finish out the semester, or whatever, in public schools, but I don't see any reason why you should still be on XP. We've been aware of this for 5 years. I mean, if that's not enough time to get the funding together, I don't know. I don't know what would be. It's people are saying, but they only gave us 2 years' notice. No, they didn't. There was a letter that was sent to you in the mail 5 years ago that said this is happening. There was an email sent. This has been on TechNet for 5 years. So,
yeah, and I mean, there's still a lot. I mean, that's a lot of people still using it, though. And I mean,
do you still have XP where at your
no, they
university?
moved off. I think last summer.
Last summer, smart.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I
yeah,
mean,
we're all on Windows 7, and I think maybe they were still upgrading a few people when I started, but for the most part, I mean, they got off of it.
yeah, I mean there isn't any problem with running, just finishing up. And I mean the biggest obstacle to this, of course, is cost of new hardware, because if you're a library, you can basically get licenses of Windows 7 for free. I mean, so it's not like there's any. If you're an educational institution, depending on who you go through, you can get them for like $10 a license.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm sure like the majority. Well, I mean, you might pay a little bit, but I
Yeah,
think our IT viewed it as, deal with the problem now. You don't want to be stuck in the middle of the
you're
semester
gonna
trying
you're
to
gonna be
switch this stuff over.
you're gonna be spending more money supporting these machines than it would cost to just upgrade um, your entire everything on your campus, because you're gonna have to worry about Now I have to worry about viruses. And I mean, that was something that was, you could easily run, now, isn't recommended, but you could have theoretically ran Windows XP without a viruses, without antivirus up until this point. I mean, there isn't much of the trouble, but those power users out there they're not going to get security patches anymore. The people who don't have antivirus are not going to get security patches anymore, and a lot of antivirus suites their end of life for Windows XP is next year. So you have a year basically with antivirus, but there's just a lot of misconceptions out there about that we can't keep going. And I'm here to tell you that you can't keep going. Even in my limited experience, you can't keep going with a piece of software that the vendor has declared end of life. I mean, it just doesn't work like that. And I get all up and crazy about this because I've seen bad stuff happen. Even on Windows XP right now, when it's not end of life, bad stuff happens. So take that bad stuff and imagine not getting security updates. So I mean, it's just you gotta bite the bullet. It's gonna be $10,000 to upgrade computers is going to go a long way in the long run. But yeah, I mean that's from a 16-year-old who has very limited IT experience, but has talked to guys who have 30 years plus experience in this field, and that is what they have told me. So,
and what's the exact date of the their ending support?
April 8th. And you can actually, there's a website that will tell you whether or not you're running Windows XP. AmIRunningXP.com. Yeah.
Right on.
And
Yeah, so we'll have to wait till April 8th and see what happens. Maybe we'll have a special show if
the wheels will fall off. The wheels are going to fall off.
Oh, excuse me.
The wheels are going to fall off the old tricycle.
Right.
That is. The wheels have already fallen off. We're just going to wait for it to crash, the bike to finish flipping forward and into the brick wall with this wheelless bike that is Windows XP. And I just want to leave you with one last tidbit. Don't worry, the ATMs that run Windows XP, they got 2 more years. They're running something called Windows XP Embedded. You can Google it. Life is good with those ATMs. CNN is just trying to incite fear in your mind. Everyone is trying to do that.
So that response was in comment to the story that CNN ran, right? That most ATMs run Windows XP.
Yeah, and I'll post the exact link in the show notes. Most ATMs do run Windows XP. I don't contest that. I don't have a problem with that. What I do have a problem with is people saying that they run XP and that they're going to be end of life this coming April. The Windows XP on the ATMs has until 2016. So just don't worry about that.
Right.
It's a non-issue. It's a non-issue right now. We got 2 years, and they are working to upgrade the ATMs. But that's just kind of a little special technology tidbit that is important to know. But that's our show, ranting and all. Let's start out with where you can. You have anything left before we wrap up?
Oh no, nothing. Yeah, let's just wrap it up and send her home.
Okay. Well, let's just close out. I'm going to say where you can find me. Jeff's going to say where you can find him. And then I'm going to say where you can find the Library TechCast. You can find me on my beautiful website, RileyChilds.net, where I blog about IT and information technology and especially educational technologies and library technologies and other stuff that may be of interest to you. You can also find me on Twitter. I'm at RowdyChildren, and just check me out there. And if you want to find me elsewhere, I have like 15 different social links across the top of my website, so you could check that out if you want to follow me elsewhere. But that's me. Now over to Jeff.
So you can you find me weekly here on the Library Tech Cast as the co-host. I'm also on Twitter. I'm at LA Library Man. Hit me up there if you want to be a guest or you just want to chat about library technology. And so I'll throw it back to Riley. Where can they find the Library Tech Cast and all these great recordings and shows?
They can find us on every week right here on librarytechcast.com/live. All of our video shows are archived on YouTube, youtube.com/librarytechcast. You can check out audio, which I need to upload last week's episode because I've not done that yet, on iTunes, TuneIn Radio, Stitcher Radio, other online radio services. We're everywhere. You can find all of our audio everywhere. We're on. If it's radio, we're on it. And if it's not there, let us know, and we will get on it. We're not on Xbox Music yet, but it's coming. That is coming down the pipeline. But yeah, I mean, that's just where you can find us on Twitter at LibraryTechCast. I mean, that's just it, and just keep reading those library technology books, and library technology. And for the Library Tech Cast, I'm Riley Childs.
I'm Jeff Sable.